Welcome back, family. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's quite early, but like I said, I'm trying to be consistent with content, right? And so I wanted to just drop a quick note. There's been a lot of buzz about people who are thinking about migrating back to Jamaica. And I've been looking at a lot of content about people who have moved back to Jamaica, you know. And I must say that I miss home. And I find that I've been taking a lot of time to really process the thought about spending more time home and then eventually, moving back, but, traveling back and forth, to do like my healthcare and stuff like that here in the US, but, going back home and spending more time at home, even as I get closer and closer to retirement, you know, getting to that age, or I'm not too far, so to speak. But there's no place like for me where I came from. And to be honest with you, when my parents and my brothers, when we migrated to the States back in the very early 90s, I didn't really want to go, but I had no choice. Being a child, you pretty much go wherever, do whatever your parents wanted to do. And so I migrated, but I've had a good life. Was able to be a part of the military here. Did my time, very beneficial. Was able to complete up to a master's level degree, and I'm working in my career field that I love right now. I absolutely love, enjoying every moment of it. And I'm just been blessed, able to do for my children without any struggling. And that's something that I made a commitment when I was a teenager, getting ready to graduate from high school, that I would definitely work hard and be able to take care of my family, and thank God I've been able to keep that word, and it hasn't been hard. But I've always been a hard worker, you know. God has been so good to me that, I've even been able to spin up a business here. So while I do have my 9 to 5, I do operate a business with a wonderful staff, and just always working. But I'm getting tired. I realize. I think I've been going too hard, and now I'm trying to figure out a way to slow down, you know, and really begin to enjoy life. And in the midst of that slowing down, process what's really happening in the world, processing, and I'm on a quest to to really find God. And I know that's been the narrative for me for many many years. It's this in the back of my mind. I cannot help but wonder how we got here as a people, and if it will ever change. You know, and it's not easy to really sit down and have this conversation with everyone. And so that's why I'm really glad for the camera and social media where I can have this conversation and make it public, and then look at the responses and have some dialogue. Because man, if you really try to sit down and have some of the conversations about the things that go on in my mind, especially with, I mean, diehard Christians, you get cussed out. Tell you that you are a heathen and you don't believe in God and all this other stuff, which is nonsense. But but yeah, man, thinking about really going back to Jamaica. Well, it's beyond a thought now. It's almost definite. I'm just doing some groundwork there, doing some groundwork here, and making preparations to make the move of being more present there. Because life in Jamaica, when you look at it, even though you see there's a lot of things going on that are not so good, there are a lot of things going on that are very positive and very appealing. And man, it just seems like life in Jamaica can be so less stress than it is here in America. So, honestly, I'm looking forward to it, and just working with the builders and doing the groundwork there to make the move. I don't know if how many of you have ever watched this YouTuber, the Osborns in Jamaica. YouTubers, a family, and I've grown attached to them, and I I talk to them. We chat back and forth, and I just admire that family, right? When you can see a person got fed up of life overseas and decided to uproot his family and go to a place that he's not from. Yeah, his wife has relatives from there, and they're making life, and they're showing in I mean the reality of it, the bitter sweet moments, and I love it, man. And it's pulling me. But yeah. So as I talk about the things going on in my head, I like to write in my book, and even though I have stopped going into a church, I still have a relationship with God because I still believe that there is a God, and I'm trying to really get deeper with God and quiet the noise, because there are a lot of things I just question. One of the things I question is, have we been told a lie? Are we being lied to? Because even with the very Bible that we read, you know, the King James version of the Bible that many of us are familiar with, one of the heights of my confusion is the big discrepancy between the Ethiopian Bible and the edited versions of the Bible, that other versions, the King James, the NIV, the ESV, stuff like that, where some versions have presented about 88 books, whereas the King James version, and I've always been taught about from the King James perspective, that there are only 66 books from Genesis to Revelation. And then there are other writings that have been identified that are tied into Christianity, but it has been removed. And so a lot of us have been taught about the 66 books, Genesis to Revelation, and I don't like the thought that there's a lot of fear factor when it comes to Christianity, whereas there's always a consequence. If you don't do this according to whatever, there's gonna be a consequence to pay. And I have a quest. I question that. And again, even though I'm tiptoeing around the whole thing and I'm doing this deep dive, I'm trying to really clear my mind of what I've been taught, so that my mind is a blank canvas, so that I can really and truly deep dive into this quest to get clarity. So this morning in um, my notebook, as I sat down and I did my quiet time, I wrote these thoughts down: God, Jesus, Holy Ghost, returning Messiah, Christianity, Islam, Judaism, and even witchcraft, racism, murder, hatred, corruption, classism. And then in bold letters, I wrote the word denominations with a hyphen and a colon with the questions: where did all this chaos begin? Question sign, space. And when will it end? You see, the thing is, we've been taught, for those of us who are Christians, or even religion on a whole, we've been taught about prophets, the Messiah, and all these different religions around the world. And what I'm trying to wrap my head around is, how is it that Christianity, for example, which is built on the thought process that there is one Lord, one faith, one baptism, that Jesus is the Son of God, Jesus is God in the flesh that was birthed to a mortal woman, lived a normal life for about 30 years, and then went into a ministry after a 40-day period of fasting for 3.5 years, at the end of which he was killed. And then, and I'm going to present this stuff, and I don't crucify me, but it's just as I'm reading and studying, I'm realizing and I'm asking myself, how did we get here? And then from this oneness, we now have all these denominations, which is creating a lot of confusion. Then the question in my mind is, well, if we have all these denominations or all these different representations of this one God, some people may say, well, the denominations are not important, but it is, in fact, because a lot of you, and a lot of you who will say that it's not important, you gravitate to a particular denomination, whether it's Church of God, Jehovah's Witness, Episcopalian, Catholic, whatever your denomination is. So it is. And there's this division because I know that there are many of us who, whenever a Jehovah's Witness may come and knock on your door, you walk in the streets and you see them, you avoid them. Because a lot of us have been told a lot of things about this denomination, don't mix with them. And even growing up as a child, I was taught by pastors not to mingle with any other denomination outside of the denomination that I was raised in. And I was raised as an apostolic. But as I sit here today, I consider myself a non denominational person, with reason, with reason. And so as I sit and I write my thoughts down, and I just sit down and listen to God, because I do believe that there's a power that exists in the universe, supernatural power. And I really want to tap into that. I don't want to pretend like, you hear these prophets say, oh, they're hearing from God and they're this and that. I don't want. And honestly, and I'm being very, very honest and transparent, all my life up until a few years ago, there has been a lot of deception in my life because I wanted so much to believe and feel and hear and all this other stuff that I pulled myself away because I wanted more. And so on this quest, and I know it's a lot, I'm seeking answers. And whenever you guys see this video, if you have a wider knowledge, drop your responses in the comment section, and I will respond to it very respectfully because again, this is a question we're all gonna learn together, and maybe one day we'll all meet up in Jamaica somewhere, and we'll all figure out the truth. All right, we'll all figure out the truth.